Okay.
Um, and just say a big welcome and thank you to everyone who has joined. There's 21 of you at the moment, which is fantastic. Thank you for coming. We are recording this as I've just pressed record, and we'll be posting this on YouTube probably tomorrow. So if you have registered, we'll send that around via email. If you're a Second Nature member, I'll be sharing it with the coaches, the YouTube link when that's live, so they can send it around to the groups as well. And yeah, it will be shared on our social feed and things like that as well. But Anneka, to kick things off, it'd be great to do. Well, I suppose I should probably, as I'm talking, introduce myself. No one really knows who I am.
Who
But
is
yeah,
this man?
yeah, who is this strange man talking? So yeah, my name's Robbie. I'm one of the registered nutritionists here at Second Nature. I'm also the content lead. I've been at Second Nature now for so it'll be 7 years in December. So yeah, only a few months away from 7 years, which is wild. But yeah, but yeah, Anneka, would you like to
Yes.
introduce yourself? And it'll be great. I think I'll let you talk for a bit. Just
Okay.
introduce yourself, who you are, your background, what took you to Second Nature. I think you can just fire away.
Yeah, of course. So, hello everyone. Thank you for joining. Yeah, so my name's Annika. I'm 50 years old, 51 soon, which is scary. And I'm a mum of three boys, and I have two grandchildren and two crazy spaniels. I also run my own recruitment business, so that's my business as well. And yeah, so I've been a Second Nature member since January of this year. I joined not really knowing what I was joining. I didn't really know what to expect. I was scared, I was nervous. But the Second Nature community just welcomed me, the coaches, the groups that I'm in. And I mainly joined because I had got to the point where I had exhausted all options. And nothing had worked. My weight had been like this all of my life. My wardrobe went from like a size 14 to a size 28. There was nothing in between. But I'd really ballooned at the back end of last year. And really, I talked to my consultant and I'd said, I really want to look at some surgery. I was looking at a bypass, and he really said to me, look, don't do that at this stage. Have you thought of the jabs? He said, because he would highly recommend them. And he said to me, until you get it right up here, nothing's going to work. So
Oh,
that really resonated with me because I thought I don't want to spend like 10 grand on a surgery and then find out that, it hasn't worked. So he told me to go away and try that. So I thought about that for a couple of months and then joined Second Nature in the January. But I had exhausted everything. I can only describe myself as, I don't mind sharing my weight. I was close to sort of 19 and a half stone. I was in a tight 28, and I felt lethargic. I felt miserable. My anxiety was high. I was probably depressed. I had a bad relationship with alcohol, with food. Anything I could binge, I was binging. So this really was a lifeline for me, and I really needed it to work. And it has worked for me. So I'm now 9 months in. I've lost 5 stone.
mm.
I've gone down to sort of like a size 16, 18 at the moment. So that's, really encouraging. And it has been a mixed journey, but I've got to where I need to be. So that's pretty much my experience so far.
Well, I mean, obviously, a very challenging background that you've had, but incredibly optimistic and positive since January. And it's
Yeah,
really interesting about your doctor because GPs get a bit of a bad rep for their attitudes towards weight loss and particularly
yeah.
women's health. But it sounds like your GP was pretty spot on and actually guided you
He was
in
amazing. He was
yeah.
so amazing. And he said to me, if my wife or my daughter or anyone wanted to do it right now, I would give it to them, like that. He said, I think it's
Wow.
fabulous. And he said it will be more widespread. So that kind of gave me a bit more confidence because at the time, I mean, it still is the same now, but there was a lot of bad press about it. And all
Mm.
you see in the media is the negative stories. It's a bit like TripAdvisor, isn't it? People only ever complain about a hotel. You never see really positive things. So
Mm.
press, I think, are quick to jump on that negativity and scaremonger everyone, forgetting that there is so much benefit from the jabs and the medication.
Mm.
So I was glad that he did push me because I probably wouldn't have done it. I would have just gone, right, that's it, I'm having surgery, and
Interesting.
that's not good either. So
Yeah.
probably would have been back to square one.
Well, yeah, kudos to your GP. I'm really glad
Yeah.
you spoke
We
to.
need more like him. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
fab.
absolutely. Absolutely. That's brilliant. And when you said you did you were after you spoke with your GP, you were like, okay, brilliant, I'll do a bit of research.
Yeah.
What how did you come across Second Nature? What made you choose Second Nature? Because obviously now, there's so many opportunities to get the medication through private
Yeah.
pharmacies or other programs like Second Nature. So what was it about Second Nature that stood out when you were doing your research?
I've been asked this before actually, and it's very simple. I do a lot of work on social media, so I'm familiar with the platforms, and I'm always on TikTok scrolling, and I'm always on Instagram, and I see so many what I call adverts. So there's all of the competitors of Second Nature flashing up with
Mm,
one off price today, one off price today, and it just felt very like a market stall. And
mm,
also, I didn't feel it was particularly authentic or trustworthy, I suppose. I just want to put my confidence in a company. And what I really liked was the videos that Second Nature had put up on social media. They resonated with me and made me click on the link, and I clicked on it. And when I went on the website, I just really felt like Mike, and I think it's Chris, isn't it? Is it Chris?
yeah.
Yeah, the owners, they were so, I could felt that they were genuine. And I know that sounds
Mm,
really cheese, but I just felt they were really genuine and they weren't just out to get your money, which
mm,
I felt some of them were. And although it was a bit more expensive when I did my research, and I did really have to sit down with my husband and talk through the cost,
yes.
it was, I just felt that it was a holistic package that you guys offered. And that's what was missing in some of the others that I'd researched. So that was really it. I liked the fact there was the app, the coach, the group,
Mm,
because although I don't want to go, again, I've been to all the slimming clubs and you're
yeah.
in
Yeah.
there every week going, how much have you lost? I haven't. Okay. And you've got Jan in the corner that's lost, half a stone and she's eaten three kebabs and fish and chips all week. That used to drive me insane. So I didn't want to do a group like that. So, but what
Mm,
I like is with these ones, it's the group's there when you need it.
yeah.
And you don't have to join in, and you
Mhm.
can if you want, and if you want to you get lots of reward back. So that was why I joined it. It just felt true and real and not just
Mhm.
a gimmick.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Yeah,
And I think we'll definitely loop back round to the other elements of support that you found beneficial, I think, on your story. But I think obviously we wanted to do this Q&A with you, Anneka, particularly talking about the recent market
yeah,
that was the price increase, right? And I think that's why everyone's here. They're wondering about
yeah,
their options. And I know me and you have spoken privately about what you're planning to do in the future already. But I think it's a good segue for us to start that conversation around it. And obviously, it happened, was it 3 weeks ago? So
yeah.
it'd be great to hear from your perspective, I guess, where you heard the news,
Mhm.
your initial gut response, and yeah, how you felt everyone in, because obviously you've got a bit of an online community as well, not just
Yeah.
with Second Nature, but with your social media
Mhm.
following too. What was the general sense, I guess?
So I personally did see it on social media.
Mm.
There was a couple of users that had posted, the dramatic headlines, and then I saw it in the Daily Mail. I saw it on
Yeah.
Twitter. I saw it on X, whatever it is now. I saw it everywhere, and I think I tend to, in my old age now, I tend to be a lot calmer than I used to be. So I sort of looked at it and I thought, okay, don't react yet because is it just a headline? Is this really going to happen? Then my sensible head said, someone somewhere will get involved, whether it's government or something, because it's such a valuable medication that how can this be happening? But then I understood in a way the company Eli Lilly's increase to line it up with the rest of the world that
Mm,
made sense, but it just seems really unfair. And I think that's what I was feeling. And I did then worry because I thought, okay, I am a mum of three. I have got a house to run. I run my own business, but I'm no way rolling in it. So I was like, oh my goodness, is this going to be the end? And then there was that panic of, but I'm not ready to end it yet. I feel like I'm maybe halfway through my journey and I want to carry on. So, and then I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? And
Mm,
then there was all the different options coming through as well. So I started madly researching Wegovy and
mm.
Saxenda and all the different types, or going cold turkey. What did that look like? Or cutting down to 2.5. So just to let everyone know, I'm currently on 12.5 milligrams, moving up to 15 soon. So I've been on 12.5 for 3 months. So I need to move up, but that's the highest dose and the highest increase. So I was like, oh my goodness. So I did sort of worry. The feeling online was very much panic. And
Yes.
I think everybody was sort of very distressed and commenting and saying, reading the comments and people's thoughts. They were all very, everyone's been worrying about what happens now. Do
Mm,
I have to stop? And, everyone's tight at the moment because of various costs going up. And it is. It is an additional cost. And although I'm sure all of our families know it's of benefit to us, it's still a hard cost to justify. On top of all your household bills. But what I really liked was I saw a lot of people screenshotting their providers' responses to it, and
mm.
it was really blunt, really uncaring.
Wow.
There was one, that I won't name now, but there was one
Yes.
that said, you've been on our trial and they've been on a set price. The only way you can continue now is to move to Wegovy. There was no
Oh,
choice.
wow.
And they're tied in because they've been contracted for 12 months. So I
Yeah.
felt that was quite brutal. And there was some really like very blunt things. And then people were also bulk buying all of a sudden, and then people were running out of the stock. So I think there was like mayhem for that couple of weeks. But
Yeah.
what I really liked was the Second Nature response.
Mm,
I thought the email that came out initially was very fair. It was very to the point. It was very much making you as a user feel like you were important. And that was, and I did kind of sit back and think, okay, I could have gone with those other cheaper providers, but actually this feels like I'm being looked after.
yeah.
And then to have, the other, I think we had another update, didn't we? And then, when I looked at what Second Nature are agreeing to, the fact that we got September at freeze, and then I think you guys said there wouldn't be an increase above a certain amount, and I was sort of working what that would look like. So I suddenly feel a lot more relaxed. But I know that there's some really disheartened people out there and nobody knows what their options are because their providers haven't, and there might be people on this session now, they haven't been told what they can and can't do and how to move over, how to change medications. So it's just not great. And I don't think, I just think I think they're very greedy companies in the world. Yes.
I'll bite my tongue on the
Yeah, bite your
other
tongue.
side. But yeah, I'm glad you felt how you did with the response that you got, and Stephanie's just commenting, and also Jane's commented as well from when you're discussing how her journey was very similar. So thank you, Jane, for the comment, and Stephanie's just saying level of support and clear of myself what I'm going to. That's really great, Stephanie. I'm glad. And you mentioned there, Anneka, your plans are
Hmm.
to, and we talked about the options, so we can definitely discuss the options,
Yeah,
obviously, that we're providing everyone at Second Nature. You've
yeah,
decided with, you want to continue.
yeah,
Despite the increases, obviously, we're unable to confirm what exactly those increases will look like just yet. But you've decided you will go up to the 15 for now.
yeah.
It would be good to understand your reasons behind that, but then also, has it changed maybe the scope? I've spoken with some people on the program who have said that they're planning to come off the medication sooner rather than maybe they were committing for another year, but they've decided 6 months and then they'll titrate off, that kind of thing. What are your thoughts around that, and looking to the future? How has it changed or not?
So for me, I still have about 4 stone to lose.
Mm,
So I very much want to keep going. Now, it is a cost and it is a high cost. And with the percentage at the Second Nature email of the other day, I've worked it out based on that. And you know, and I've worked it out how much extra that is a month, and then working that out how much it is a week, and then trying to work out how many Costa coffees do I have in a week, and then trying to kind of balance it like that. And actually, I think when the pricing does come out, to kind of think of it like that is a much more positive like way of thinking about it rather than just looking at the whole cost. So that's what I've done, is I've broken it down. Now obviously I don't know what it's going to go up to, but I still want to continue. Now I am in a position where I can just about afford an increase, but if I couldn't, I would have looked at Wegovy.
Yeah.
So I think the Wegovy option is a good option, and I think, it's been proven that it does work similarly. And I think Second Nature have done some webinars on that. You did one last week, didn't you,
Yes.
about Wegovy? But I've chosen to stay on Mounjaro purely because it has worked for me to date, and I'm reluctant to change that right now. My question actually to you would be, you
Mm.
talking about the future, is I'm on 15 now. What happens at the end of 15? So not the end of 15, but for example, I've done every dose I've done for a month, apart from 7.5, which I did for 2 months, and I did 12.5 for 3 months, and I'm now about to go up to 15. So what happens in 3 months when I feel like I would need to increase a dose again, and
Mm.
there is a dose to go to? That would be my question to you, Robbie.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think we Deborah brought this up. Well, the discussion around hunger and the medication and the use of
Yeah.
it and how we approach these things. And Deborah mentioned at the end of the webinar last week. And if anyone's wondering about the webinar we did last week, it is on our YouTube channel. And if you did register last week, I will be emailing that out this week as well. But it's a really interesting question because I think there's definitely perception around these medications that they're like this wonder drug, this magic pill
Mm.
that's like and the idea of it is to kind of remove hunger completely. Um, but actually, what we try and encourage over the course of the program at Second Nature is seeing it as a tool and an opportunity um, to change your relationship with hunger, if that makes sense. So it's seeing it as an opportunity to be curious around what your body is telling
Mhm.
you rather than judgmental or
Mm.
worrying about it. So we've written there's an article that we've written in the second half of the program, so in the second year. So you wouldn't have actually seen it yet, I don't think, because you started in January, right? So yeah, you're
January,
about 9
yeah.
months in. So there's a article I wrote, I think it was for around the 14, 15 month mark, but it's talking about shifting this relationship with hunger. So when we look at the body and what it's doing when we experience, say, physical hunger, it's telling us we either need protein or calories or maybe nutrients, right? And people talk about, oh, I've got this strange craving for tomatoes, or I've got this
Mhm.
strange craving for salt, or whatever it might be. And it might feel strange, but actually, your body's quite clever at craving certain foods if it requires specific nutrients. Maybe it's vitamin C for tomatoes or
Mhm.
something like that, right? So, if we were to remove hunger completely, we'd be removing that ability to tune into what our body's telling us, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Um, so when we get up to 15, and if you're still experiencing some hunger, some cravings, it's actually like it's almost like an opportunity. It's like, okay, your body's still, those signals are still getting through. And it's like applying, I try and encourage everyone to apply curiosity over judgment on
Mhm.
hunger and cravings. Now, of course, I've spoken with hundreds of people on this program now and on these medications over the last few years. And one consistent pattern I've seen is that, particularly women, it's mainly women between the age of, say, 30 and 60 on the Second Nature program, who unfortunately have been told for the last 30, 40 years that you have to be really slim and you have to go on a diet and you have to eat 800 calories a day and you have
Yep.
to look this way and you have to have a job and you have to be a parent and all this stuff, right? Our society has a way of making women feel like they have to do everything always. And one thing is about size, right? And there's definitely an environmental, sociological factor where there's this obsession with size and eating and food, which creates this negative, relationship with hunger and food.
Mhm.
So I think that's definitely a contributor. There's also a genetic component where there's going to be some women, some men too, some women that maybe don't produce the same levels of GLP-1 hormone that someone who's, naturally slimmer, for example. So then the medication is filling that gap for you. And it might be that a sustained long-term treatment on the medication, even at a lower dose, will be
Hmm.
supportive to rebalance the sort of the bad hormonal card you've been played. So
Yeah.
there's so many factors around hunger that are influenced beyond our physical need for food, if that makes sense. So I don't want to say, oh, don't worry, just embrace hunger, like it's all fine. I
Yeah.
completely empathize and I understand that some people have always felt hungry. And that's one
Yeah.
thing I didn't truly realize until I started speaking with people on this program. I've spoke with so many people who've said, I didn't know what fullness felt like until I
No,
this
I
medication,
can associate with that. I really
you know?
didn't, and I would eat a four course meal, and then I'd be hungry again half an hour later.
There you
And
go.
I've never had an off button, whether that's wine, food, biscuits, sweets, crisps, whatever. And I
Absolutely.
think what's been amazing about the GLP-1 is it has just stopped that noise and
Mm,
has given me the headspace to deal with some of the emotional and psychological issues that I need to deal with around my eating and why I do the things I do. So that's been really eye-opening this year. I think I mentioned to you, especially my relationship with alcohol. And I think
mm,
that's been,
interesting.
I was not, I would say I was not an alcoholic, but I definitely didn't have an off button and I was drinking far too much. And if I had one glass, I'd have a bottle. And it was all the time. And it's just been amazing that I haven't had that need since doing the drugs, and it's been brilliant. So there's lots of things, but that's why I think coming up to the 15 is that psychological thing where you think, oh my God, I'm at the top now. What do I
Yes.
do? I'm sure other people will feel the same because um yeah, it's just that you kind of know you're going to go up a dose, and then what do you do
Mm.
when you get to this dose? It's like, oh, so
Yes,
thank you for that.
absolutely. Well, it's yeah, like we said, it's that opportunity to still
Yeah,
be in touch with your body's natural signals,
yeah,
and it's definitely an opportunity to because I know you've mentioned before about the healthy habits that you've got now, the focus on whole foods,
yeah,
and other aspects of your lifestyle that you're implementing, and all of these things contribute to natural GLP-1 release as well. And there's other hunger hormones too, so. Mounjaro that you're on mimics two hormones that naturally lower hunger, but there's three or four others that also do the same. So there's ways through, a balanced eating, like the Second Nature guidelines suggest,
yeah,
and other things, even sleep, stress. It's amazing how much hungrier you feel a day after poor sleep, right? It just
yeah,
cravings spike through the roof. So yeah, there's also all those other lifestyle elements that are incredibly important. So it's important for everyone who's going to be on a similar journey to you and they get to 15 and wondering what it's looked like. It's like, remember that it's not going to completely obliterate everything. And it's like, if the expectation is you'll never experience hunger again, then obviously you'll be disappointed because you will probably.
well, yeah,
And we actually want to encourage that. We still want to experience
yeah.
hunger and focus on the other elements of lifestyle that will help too. So yeah, brilliant. Anneka, thank you so much. That was really great to hear your perspective on the situation. And like you said, I think it'd be great just to cover the options that people do have
Yes.
in Second Nature and hopefully are available to others if there is anyone online who isn't with Second Nature at the moment. Generally speaking, I think the options are, well, number one is carry on as you are if it's affordable, right? So, like you mentioned, fortunately, you're able to absorb a bit of the increase, and
Mm.
it's still for you worth the investment to help you get to your target weight and continue your progress. The other options, optimizing the Mounjaro dose. So, for some people, obviously it depends on many factors, but lower doses are just as effective. It might be, you could make the argument, okay, you might go down to 5 milligrams, let's say, and let's say you're on 10 at the moment, you go down to 5 and you experience more hunger, but it might be that, okay, but I've spent the last 6 months developing healthy habits and I'm eating
Hmm.
more protein, more fiber, more vegetables, and actually I can manage this naturally and I'll it's almost like embrace the challenge of having a bit more hunger on a lower dose. So,
James just actually said that in the chat that she's
oh,
has
brilliant.
been on 15 but dropping down to 10.
Nice.
So I
Okay.
think that's a good example of where,
Really
So
good.
you have made the choice, Jane, to kind of go down. That's
Yeah, it's interesting.
interesting.
So I'm thinking about going back to 10 as 15 hasn't made any difference for me. At least is what I feel. And actually that's I've about another stone to lose, but in no rush. That's great. I'm glad you're feeling that way, Jane. That sounds like a really positive approach. And yeah, that's actually interesting what Jane's discussing there is the we do have some guides on this as well. So if anyone is interested in reading more about this, if you go to the Second Nature website, there's a section called weight loss medications, and you can go in there. We've written all about this and optimizing dose and things like that. But it's interesting. The research shows that the level of, let's say, hunger suppressing elements. So the impact that Manjaro has, it jumps significantly from say 2.5 to 5 up to 7.5, maybe up to 10. But then the difference between 10 and 15 is actually not that dramatic. So when they looked at weight loss over, because they did a study over the course of, I think it was 72 weeks. So what's that? Just two and a half, just under two, no, 1.5 years, sorry.
Mhm.
Um, and they looked at the weight loss for 5, 10, and 15 over that time. And while the 5 milligram led to an average of, say, 15% weight loss on average, the 10 milligrams, I think, was around 20, 21. And then the top dose 15 was another few percentage points. So it's almost like just because you're from 10 to 5, you're going up 5 milligrams, but you won't have what you feel is the 5 milligrams effect, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
It's like the jump isn't the same in terms of the impact it has on your body. Um, so that's interesting, Jane. So yeah, if you can maintain at a lower dose, that's definitely an option for people. Um, and as you mentioned before, you said, in terms of affordability, Wegovy is available on Second Nature now too, so you can switch as well. And I'd imagine many people are looking at other providers as well.
Mhm.
And if you're with another provider, Wegovy should be available via them. Also, you can switch to Second Nature. You can switch between providers. That the process is actually quite easy. Um, and then I guess the final, you could call it nuclear option, or if you're ready to do this,
Mhm.
is to slowly come off the medication and transition off slowly. And at Second Nature, we do have a phase designed to support people do that. And as you can imagine, it's all about cementing healthy habits and focusing on, maintaining the healthy habits that will naturally manage hunger and cravings.
Mhm.
And not just the healthy habits, but the mindset. Like your doctor said, such a good point. It's up here,
Up
right?
here, yeah, that's so
And
true.
if we look at the weight loss maintenance research, there's loads of qualitative papers. So papers where they interview people and they just, rather than talking about, the numbers on the scale or anything, it's like, okay, so for people that keep weight off in the long term, like what does it look like? And
Mhm.
it's the psychological shift. There's certain healthy habits that are important, but it's the psychological shift that has the biggest impact. So that's a key part of the transition focus for Second Nature too. Um, on that, Anneka, in the time since January, so you joined Second Nature in January, you're 5 stone lost now,
Mhm.
just about to move up to 15. What other aspects of your health and your mindset, your well-being have you noticed in that time?
Well, I think the first thing I said was about the alcohol, the difference in that I haven't touched wine since January, and that's my nemesis. And that wasn't, and I haven't gone, oh my God, you can't have wine. I just haven't fancied it. So that's been amazing because not drinking has then, I mean, I've still had some gins and I've still had a couple of Prosecco's, but not wine. And that has been so nice to get weekends back and not be hungover and spend some quality time with my children and not be hungover at the football matches on a Sunday morning. Or other things like going on holiday. So I was always anxious about the seatbelt on the plane and not being able to do that up. And I went away, I've been away twice since I'd started Manjaro, and it's been great because I've gone on the plane and it fits and I've got space. I can get the tray down. Never had the tray down before. I had to eat on my lap because the tray would just bounce off my tummy. Things like that. What other things? It's just made such a difference to family life, and
Mm.
I'm happier. My husband said to me when we were in Lanzarote a few weeks ago, he said, "You're so calm. You haven't lost your temper with the kids." And I was like, "I know." And I was just laughing at things I normally have got a little bit irate about. So I think it's made me calmer. My anxiety's dropped. or when I was in Lanzarote, I went on water slides. I haven't done water slides for so long because I just didn't want to get stuck in the tube. So it was quite liberating to be able to go on all the water slides. I was scared, but I thought I'm going to do this because I've worked my butt off to lose this weight. So that was lovely to join in with the family and not be stuck on the side just holding the bags. But yeah, it's just changed everything. It's changed my whole outlook. I've got more energy. And it's just, I think it's just the Manjaro has just cleared my head so that I can focus on other things,
Yeah.
myself, my business, my family, rather than just thinking, what am I going to eat next?
Yeah.
So it's been a really positive. I know it's not positive for everyone, but it's been really positive for me. But I try and look at everything positively anyway. I know what I need to do. It's working for me. So let's not focus on anything negative. Let's just get to where you need to be because it benefits everyone. So, um, yeah, so
That's
really,
that's
really good.
That's great. That's great. And Marianne's put in a comment into the chat. And Anneka, I was wondering if you had any thoughts on your experience in the first few months, because she's saying, she hasn't lost much weight in the first few months on the 2.5 to 5, wondering whether the weight loss will kick in later. And then obviously she's thinking, would switching to Wegovy have a positive
Yeah.
negative impact? But in terms of your first few months on the medication, what was your experience there? Have you had any plateaus throughout this journey?
I didn't have plateaus at 2 or 5, so not trying to make it sound awful, Miriam, but I did lose quite steadily from the beginning for me. But then, I don't know your background or your diet, etc. My diet was absolutely disgusting. I was probably having close to 4,000 calories a day, and it was very, very carb heavy. So the changes, naturally, I would have lost weight, but I changed everything. So
Mm,
again, I don't know whether you're with Second Nature or with another provider, but it's important to speak to your coach because when I have had a plateau and I had that around sort of 10 milligrams, I think, or 12 or 10 definitely, it was just okay, this is what I'm eating. Can you help me? Would you make any suggestions? And I do think that, it's really important to change your diet. Again, like I said, Marianne, I don't know what you're eating, but for me, I changed everything. I was very much a processed food person and I moved to whole foods and I drink water a lot and I do exercise every day. When I say exercise, I walk my spaniels. I don't go to the gym. I don't do anything excessive. So, but I find that if I don't do that walk, I don't lose.
mm.
So that combined with the eating and the water and everything has really helped. But it might be worth going up a dose and just seeing if the next dose helps you. But my thoughts would be to speak to whoever your coach is or anyone you can
Yeah.
sort of talk to about and write a diary of what you're eating just to see if there's anything you can change that glaringly obvious when you write it down. But it is frustrating when you do hit that plateau and you think it's not working. But Robbie, I don't know if I'm right in saying this, but it might be that Wegovy is better for you. I think that different drugs work for different people. I do know a few people that it hasn't worked for.
Yeah.
But I know people that done Wegovy that it hasn't worked. So I think it's just a balance and we're all so different. But
Yeah.
I would just say chat to somebody.
Definitely. I think that's it's great advice really. And Marianne, it's like important. It's definitely, I can imagine you're probably thinking you're at a bit of a crossroads, but there's no um like I'd say just don't rush into a decision. You've committed to quite a big
Yeah.
process, joining Second Nature, taking the medication. And
Mm.
it is a process. And we do see on the research as well that it can take up to 8 weeks for the
Yeah.
medication to reach its stable level in the blood. They call it a steady state because your body, it's basically like rises and falls in the first 8 weeks. And it might be that once you're maintaining at 5, or even if you decide to go up a little bit, you might then start to notice the hunger lowering effects. And like Anneka was saying, at Second Nature, we want to combine it with everything else too. It's not a magic pill. It's still a process of changing lifestyle and introducing those healthy habits to support the weight loss too. In
I
the
think it's hard as well when you're in the group sometimes or you're on social media and you look at what everyone else is losing and you think, what I'm not losing enough because everyone else is losing really quickly. And I think everyone's so different. And what the coach for me at Second Nature said to me once, if you look at your weight loss graph, as long as it's coming down as an average, that's
Trend, yes.
fine. And because I think people expect it to just go like that. But even if it goes a bit zigzaggy, but it's actually coming down slowly, that's all you want. And if you think, you don't want to lose it too quickly either. So I probably did lose a little bit too much at the beginning.
Mm.
And I upped my calories because, I did have a bit of hair loss. But I knew that was because I wasn't eating enough right at the beginning. So I think it's so important. But yeah, I did a thing last week on one of my social media posts about just don't compare yourself to other people because it will drive you mad because you'll be like, so it's like going to the slimming clubs and you've
Yes.
stayed the same or you've lost half a pound and you think, oh, well, that's still good.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I think it's really hard, right? Because I think
yeah.
naturally as humans we do compare ourselves to others, but
Mm.
like you said, I think looking inwards and tuning in, and like we were talking earlier, Anneka, about it's really tuning into your internal reason. What are your internal reasons for doing this? So
Yeah.
at Second Nature, we don't want people to think, I need to lose weight at all costs. It's what are the reasons behind this? So, if say in 5 years you've reached your weight loss goals, beyond the numbers on the scale, what has changed? What does your life look like? What is it about that life that you're seeking beyond just being at a lower number on the scales? And I think you've touched on it a lot, Anneka, about just your confidence, your independence, your mood,
Mm.
and things like that. And it's like you're moving towards a lifestyle where it's inherently more purposeful and happy and joyful for you, is what it sounds like. And
Yeah.
I wonder what your perspective is on, because I think we're quite obsessed with numbers
Mm.
as a society in terms of weight in particular. People will often say to me, like, I want to get to 23 BMI because
Yeah.
for some reason put a number on that's the healthy weight. But another article we've written in year two is trying to move to, okay, but what's your best weight? As in,
Yeah.
not 22 BMI necessarily. Maybe it's 26, maybe it's 27, whatever that looks like. But
Yeah.
it's like the weight that you can maintain a healthy lifestyle and you're happy and you feel
Mm.
joyful. And that could be whatever weight within a certain health threshold that looks like. So I wonder, with your perspective, you mentioned you've got 4 stone to lose.
Yeah.
So from your perspective, what is it about that goal you're aiming for? And then, you know, what does that journey look like for you? And what does your wait list look like, I guess, in
I
terms of
think
everything that it comes with?
for me, I'm your typical pear shape. So I'm thinner on top. So when I'm sitting here like this, people think I'm thinner, and then I stand up and I've got a big fat bum. So I'm typical pear shape. So, but what I have to be careful of is I lose quite a lot here. So if I go below sort of about 10 and a half, I start to look ill. So I know that 10 and a half to 11 stone is probably my optimum goal.
Mm,
That's when I'm in a comfortable size 14 clothes, which is fine for me. So that's about 3 stone from where I am now. So that's my
mm,
kind of medium goal. But ironically, that still wouldn't put me in the healthy BMI, which is
mm,
frustrating because I'm quite short. I'm 5'2". So according to the stats, I should be about 8 stone something, which is just completely unreasonable. So I'm quite realistic about that.
that's
I
brilliant.
feel better in myself now. If I was to stop tomorrow, and I'd be happy with the weight loss I've got because I
Mm,
feel like I can go into regular shops and get clothes again. However, I just feel that, like I said before, I've turned 50. I want to be healthy. I've got grandchildren now. I
yes.
want to be around for them. So I feel like I just need for my health to lose more.
Mm.
But there is a lot of focus every time I go to the doctor, not the nice doctor. Normally the nurses, they're always like, your BMI is really high, and you're like,
Right.
really, I hadn't noticed.
Yeah.
And they make such a big deal about the BMI number, and I know it's important, but like you said, I think it is just looking at what works for you, what is right.
Definitely.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think the BMI. I think it's a webinar we should do.
I
It,
think
it's
so.
busting the myth of the BMI because it's
Yeah,
unfortunately it is in everyday practice. You mentioned your
yeah,
nurse saying it every time, and
yeah.
it's not helpful, particularly for
No,
your individual situation now. If they were to I guarantee if they were to measure your other health markers, not just your blood sugar or your blood pressure
Mhm.
or all of the other things going on in your body, but also your mental state and just
Mhm.
your well-being, if they were to measure pre and post,
Yeah.
now, your BMI might not be in the healthy range, but you would be considered an incredibly healthy, happy person. But
Yeah, but
BMI,
also all of the what's really good, and it's something I would recommend everyone doing, is taking measurements during your journey, because sometimes when you have plateaued, you might have lost inches. But also when you look at, if you look at your BMI, it's not your BMI, sorry, your visceral fat, your subcutaneous fat, so all the bits, the fat around your heart basically, and your organs, mine has dropped down, and your fat mass and your bone mass and your water mass, it's fascinating to look at those numbers, because those go down as well, and some of them go up because they're meant to go up. But it's really interesting to look at those kind of measures if you've got the digital scales there. It just makes it a more holistic approach rather than just looking at the weight.
definitely, definitely. And is
um
there anything beyond physical measurements that I know you said you notice your mood and your general well-being.
yeah.
Is there anything else you've tracked to help with that progress beyond the physical stuff too?
um in what sense, sort of?
So with say energy levels or sleep or anything like anything around lifestyle, have you tracked that, or has it just been a general sense of I'm sleeping so much better? Like you've just
I use my Apple Watch. So
oh
I
brilliant.
use my Apple Watch for walking. So I'm always looking at, how long it takes me to walk a mile, what's my heart recovery, things like that. And that's all improved. And I was so out of breath before when I was walking the dogs, and I'd be
Yeah.
loath to kind of just do half a mile. Whereas now I'm happily sort of doing 3 miles across the fields where we live. And it is quite up and down terrain. So it's quite good. So those kind of things. And I have slept better, no doubt about it. I think alcohol makes you stay awake anyway.
Mm,
So actually not drinking a glass of wine in the evening, a couple of glasses of wine, has actually made a huge difference, because I just sleep at a normal time and I'm having my 8 hours. But
yeah.
so I think it's, for me, I feel it's everything. It's not just one thing.
Yeah.
So it is, I've used holistic a few times, but it is a holistic thing.
Mm.
Um, one of the one of the Q&A has come up. God, where's it gone? There was a lady that just said, you found your glove, and I completely associate
Yes,
with that. That
Caroline,
was
great comment.
Caroline. I
Yeah.
really like that. And like you, I've done all the slimming clubs, milkshake suits, I've done it all. And you just go up and down. This is the first time I felt that it's a steady ship, and I feel like I've finally, something's clicked in my brain. So that's hard. But then I can see that Tara above is concerned about what happens at the end of the jabs, and if you come off them. I don't know if you want to answer that one.
Yeah, it's a great question. Where was that? Was it
That
Tara?
was just above Caroline's.
Oh, I see. Yes. All right. So coming off. Yeah. So, um, plan to gradually, if I see weight creeping back on, it doesn't seem very easy to get back onto the program. I see. I was told by a clinician a few months ago that once you hit a maintenance and then later come off the medication, you cannot go back on if it's been longer than 2 months. Yes, I would imagine that he's probably referring to clinical guidelines,
Mm.
and I guess that's yes, I guess that is challenging. And I would imagine, I guess there's no pressure beyond the price increase. I know it's probably, yeah, the cost is going to be more considerable. It might not make this plan possible. I mean, I will say, like, Second Nature will confirm our prices by mid-September. I wish I had a firm update for everyone in terms of, a rough percentage or anything like that. But unfortunately, we can't. We're still ongoing negotiations with Eli Lilly. We will be able to confirm our pricing in a couple of weeks, but. I reassure you that they won't be the 170%. So the dramatic increase you've seen on the news, it won't be that. We are absorbing some of the cost as we communicated. But yeah, there will be obviously some increase. And hopefully, Tara is within a reasonable budget for you. But in terms of coming off, so I know that like they said, you can come back on within like within that 2 month period. So I guess it's having a sustainable plan and with the transition approach with Second Nature, obviously cost is a consideration, but it's coming off gradually. So you go down a dose, you see how you feel. Maybe you maintain on that dose for as long as you need to. Let's say you're at 5, then you go down to 2.5. You can stay at 2.5 for as long as you need to. come off and see how you respond.
Mhm.
And with Second Nature, you'll have the support of the coaches. We have a transition phase articles that we upload to your app, so that we're providing all of the information we can possible from a lifestyle perspective to make that transition off possible. And yeah, I mean, it could be in terms of a maintenance long term, that it might be that Wegovy is more affordable. So it could be that you gradually titrate down in Mounjaro and then switch to Wegovy. That is also a possibility at a lower Wegovy dose to maintain. So yeah, it is challenging, um, and but at least there is that opportunity to come back on that medication within that few months time frame if you know it's not working for you. But I think the best thing to do as well with these questions is to speak to your health coach if you're on the Second Nature program. Definitely reach out to the clinical team. You know, the monthly check-ins we have. If you have concerns about this, put that into your survey. You might be able to speak to one of the clinical team, and hopefully they can just reassure you that support system is in place. But from Second Nature's perspective, it's about doubling down on the habits as well, and really focusing on the lifestyle element and elements to help with that. So yeah, sorry, it was a bit of a waffle there, Tara, but hopefully hopefully
No,
that
that's
made
good.
some kind of sense. There is support here at Second Nature, I guess, is the key point. You will be supported in any
Yeah, so
decision that you make.
supported. And I think
Um,
that's the message in the chat there. Everyone seems to feel supported by Second Nature. It's good to see Jen there at the bottom there agreeing with taking measurements. It's so fabulous during a plateau. And Kirsten agreeing there, for Marianne, Kirsten saying she had a plateau for
mm,
around 6 weeks. Just stick with it. I know it's hard, but it will move. And like we were saying, look at the graph. Kirsten said the same because it gives you the bigger picture. So it's Helen, yes, the NHS are obsessed with BMI. They just,
Yes, unfortunately so. I mean, it makes sense it's one of those things, it makes sense as um, a very simple measurement they can do in practice, because maybe it's hard to measure your body fat percentage levels in practice, more expensive, all this stuff. But yeah, it is
and
unfortunate.
they do it at school with the school kids now. And my son's a beanpole, and he was told he was overweight, and he hasn't got an inch of anything on him. So it was, I
Yeah,
think that's frightening when they do
really
that
not. It's
at a
really
young
not helpful.
age. No,
Yeah, it's really not helpful. But yeah, it's great. It's great to read your comments. Thanks to everyone. And I think I really like Kirsten's comment. I stayed on 5 milligrams because I wanted to learn to live with hunger. I've
yeah,
still lost almost 3 stones, and that's absolutely brilliant. And as we were discussing earlier, Anneka, like everyone's different, right? So
yeah.
you're finding even at 12.5, you're still experiencing that hunger, those cravings. You want to go up to 15, and then you've still got like quite a big target. You want to lose 3 more stones. For Kirsten, it worked at lower doses. So I think everyone's different, and I think that's like really coming
Mm.
through, which is brilliant. Fantastic. Thank you so much for sending through your comments, everyone. Just making sure there's nothing we haven't.
There's a couple of comments there about if somebody switches to Wegovy in Second Nature, will they still stay with their group, or would they
Oh,
have to
yes.
start in a new group?
That's a great question, and yet you will stay with your coach and your group.
That's
Yes,
good.
even like obviously from an experience perspective, it's much better for you to stay with the people you're used to and your coach that you've developed that relationship with. And yeah, from a technical point of view, we don't want to have to move people around within the app and things like that as well. So it's definitely much better that in that sense. So yeah, absolutely, you can stay with your coaching group for
That's
sure.
great.
Um, so yeah, absolutely. Anneka, is there any? I know we're entering the final 10 minutes, so people, if you
Okay.
do have, we still got 36 people here, which is fantastic. So
Good.
no one ran away from us, Anneka, which is great. So, well, a few people did, but that's okay. It's dinner time. I understand. Yeah, if you've got any more questions for the last 10 minutes, I think definitely throw them in. We'll answer them as best as we can. But I also think, Anneka, it would be great to for the last 10 minutes, it'd be great to kind of think. I know we've already kind of talked about this, right? But
Yeah.
in terms of your next steps,
Yes.
you're moving up to 15. You said you've got 3 stone or 3 to 4 stone to go before you get to your sort of goal weight.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about the future? Is there anything you're worried about, concerned about? And I guess in the positive side as well, like what are you looking forward to? So yeah, what does the
Yeah.
future hold?
Well, I wanted to, for the first thing, I wanted to get thinner for my son's wedding, which is this month. So I have been able to buy a nice dress. So that was my
Yeah.
sort of goal. So that was my first goal. So I've got to that. That was I wanted to lose some weight by now, and I've done that. My next goal is we've booked a cruise for next June. So I want to have lost the next 4 stone by then, really. Um, but I also appreciate that I will need to change some things, I think, just to help that along. So I have just joined the gym. I haven't been yet, but I have just joined the gym and my plan is to swim. So that's
Oh,
part of my
wonderful.
plan. So I want to go swimming and do a bit of gym. I don't love the sweaty stuff in the gym.
Yeah.
I like the running machine, I like the rower, I like the bike. That's about it. But I think I've been told I need to do some weights, so I'll probably just have an induction and do that. So um, I feel like I said this on my social media post this week. I feel like with the summer, it's been quite hard with routine because the kids have been around and annoying.
Yes.
We've been on holiday. I'm going on holiday next week. I don't go on holiday all the time, by the way, everyone, because I just said I'm going to Egypt next week. But I felt like the routine's been a bit out the window. So I felt like I have maybe made some not so great choices over the last month. I'm planning to get my holiday out the way and then be really focused when I come back. But saying that, I think, it's another thing to note is I've been on 2 holidays this year with Manjaro, and it has been so different to other holidays I've been on.
Mm,
It is, if you are going on holiday, don't be scared about going away whilst on the drug because you can make it work. Because especially if you're all inclusive as well, there's so much choice of salad, and I found myself naturally gravitating towards the food I would never have gone towards before. I would always eat, the burgers, the pizzas, the chips, and would eat for the sake of it. But I was so mindful on both holidays, but it didn't feel like, for those of you that have been on all the plans like me before, it didn't feel like I was on a diet. It just felt normal. There was no kind of, oh God, I can't have that because I'm doing this. It
mm.
was just easy. So that's been really helpful. And actually, I only gained a pound in Lanzarote and I was there 10 days on all inclusive. So I'm hoping that when I go to Egypt next week, it will be the same. But that's my plans really are that. Yeah. So it's just to focus when I come back, focus, get through Christmas, and just shift the rest of this weight because I know it will come off. So it has to. So
That's great. And you mentioned there as well, 'cause obviously one of the main messages we try and promote at Second Nature, it's like the main mindset we want people to develop is that they're living in a healthier way, a more
yeah,
balanced way, because they're choosing to, not because they feel forced to,
yeah,
i.e., within the rigid like rules of a diet, right?
yeah,
And I think Caroline mentioned like finding her glove, is that right? My
yeah,
dieting glove. And but it's like, we obviously want to promote the message. It is a lifestyle and
yeah,
you're making choices not because you feel like you have to, but because internally you want to promote your health in the long term, all this stuff.
yeah,
Do you find that obviously the medication is going to help with that too, right? Like you said,
yeah.
it's almost like it provides that window of opportunity to focus
Hmm.
things, which is wonderful because you don't have that food noise all the time. And do you also feel that shift in terms of you're not on a diet per se, you're on a lifestyle change journey, of
Yeah.
course? And
I don't feel like I'm on a diet
mm,
ever. And if I do want something, I have it. So
mm,
I'm not sitting here saying that I only eat green leaves and that's
yeah,
it. Because
yeah,
if I want a donut, I'll have a donut. And if I want, I don't know, I don't tend to go chocolate, but if I'll have something which in the old slimming group worlds, it would have
mm,
been that's naughty, you can't have that. But what I'm finding is I'm then not binging. So I will have one of something, which I've never been able to do, or say no to something. Like when I'm having my cup of tea in the evening, my husband always has his biscuits and he'll say, "Do you want some?" And I would always go, "Yeah, I'll have a couple," and then I'll just munch my way through. I can happily just have two now and not carry on. And also that feeling before of, oh, well, I've ruined it now, I might as well carry on. And then you just start binge eating more because you think there's no point, I've gained weight anyway. I don't do that anymore. So if if the kids have had pizza takeaway, I generally don't have it, but I have had it in the last 9 months, and I will only have a couple of slices, but I'll make a salad with it so that it's more of a balance rather than just eating a whole pizza. So I think that's probably why it's working for me because I don't feel so restricted that I can't have things. And
Mm.
I think that's the difference with some of the surgeries that I was looking at, was you would have still been restricted. I know,
Yes. Okay.
somebody on the chat said they had a sleeve, and it's like, friends of mine that have had that, they're always throwing up, and
Oh, wow.
it's when they can't, when they've eaten something they shouldn't have eaten. So I think it's that really. Do you know, like today's my jab day tonight. And I hadn't even thought of it. I have to set a reminder now because it doesn't feel like a week. It just goes so quickly because it's just
Mm.
life now.
Yeah.
So it's really positive.
That's
So,
wonderful. And Anneka, with 5 minutes to go, I just have one more
oh,
question around.
oh, the pressure, Robbie. What's he going to
No,
ask me for
it's
the
a nice
final
one.
one?
I
For the
promise.
final
Just
one.
so 9 months into the program,
Yeah.
what are one or two standout like aha moments? Because I speak with a lot of people on the program, and they often talk about, particularly after say 6 to 9 months or whatever. And there's often because I completely appreciate that the medication is having a profound effect on the reward circuitry in the brain, and it's
Yeah.
providing this avenue, and there's obviously a big contributor from the Mounjaro. But in terms of like maybe just your mindset, your approach to your lifestyle, or whatever, what aha moments have you had, like in terms of maybe a message from Deborah, your coach, or an article you read? Were there any moments where you're like, oh, that makes sense, and it shifted your mindset? And do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I think the one that was really resonated with me, and I thought, oh my God, I wish I'd found this earlier,
Mm,
was when I read an article where it said, if you have low hormones, you go and get HRT. I'm on HRT. If you have a vitamin D deficiency, you get given vitamin D. But no one's ever said about having a GLP-1 deficiency or lack of that. Where has this come from? And I was like, I wish I'd known that because I really do feel that that is me. I feel for me that it is a genetic thing and
mm,
it is a hormone that my body is missing. So I that was my aha moment because I just thought I can envisage that I will be needing a minimum dose of this forever because it's like you take vitamins, it's the same if I've got a deficiency. And it was that associating it with a deficiency rather than a drug. Does that make sense? it
it
was
does. Yeah,
it was
absolutely.
and that was really amazing. And the other thing was a very basic thing that I'd forgotten how amazing whole foods were because
Yeah,
I'd
great.
lived on processed foods for so long that it was suddenly like, oh my God, this is lovely. And I don't even have sauces. It's just
Mm,
like nice stuff. Thanks, Christine. That was Christine's agreeing with me, so that's good. But it is a deficiency, and people don't understand that, and that's when it frustrates me when I see people moaning about it and slagging off the medication. It is an illness. It's a deficiency, obesity as well. All illnesses, and they're real. And that's my message. It's like we are real. Just
Absolutely. I think that's a great message to finish on. And like I said earlier, I've spoken to hundreds of people on this medication, on this program, and the majority, at least half, have said exactly what you said. Never felt full, would eat a full meal within half an hour, feeling hungry again or peckish or something. And, that is really, really profound. And I think it's like, these medications are doing a wonderful, having a wonderful impact on many people. So for those
yeah.
that it's appropriate for. So,
And
yeah,
thanks for everyone agreeing with me. That's lovely. And look at that. Linda's just said she's enjoyed listening to us both, Robbie.
I
That's
know. Well,
thank you.
we might have to do this again, Anneka. Who knows?
Anytime.
Um, but yeah, it's great to hear Helen's agreeing with you as well. I've never enjoyed food so much since changing to whole food.
Yeah,
I think that's right. I think,
so
uh,
true.
I mean, again, speaking to a lot of people, they used to, if they're on a diet of ultra processed foods, they used to crave those. But then when they make the switch, they're like, no, if I have a weekend, at a wedding or whatever it is, or I'm on holiday, you come back and you're like, I really need some vegetables.
Yeah.
You really start to crave the whole foods and you understand the nourishment they're giving your body. So that's brilliant.
Yeah.
So yeah, Annika, thank you so much for
No,
joining.
you're very
Really
welcome, and
appreciate it.
thank you for your
And
time.
thank you everyone for joining. We really appreciate it. For those of you on Second Nature, like I said, if you do have any questions about the current situation, we appreciate it is a very anxious and worrying time. We're completely aware of that. And if we could put up the pricing tomorrow to at least give everyone the solid information, we would. It will just take a bit longer. But yeah, we will be sending out an email to our membership this week just with a bit of a reiteration, a bit of an update on the situation. So yeah, and of course, if you have any questions, reach out to your health coach, the support team, or the clinical team with any clinical specific questions. Yeah, brilliant. Annika,
Thank
thank you so
you.
much, and
No, thank you, Robbie. Thank
I
you,
hope you
everyone.
all have a good evening. See you soon.
Thank you. Thanks,
Cheers.
guys. Cheers. Bye.